Are we a mind with a body or a body with a mind? Let's dive into both the concepts and question our established presuppositions and conclusions about the thought processes. Hey guys, welcome back. Hope all of you are well. Let's get right into today's podcast, the mind body connection. Mind with a body. If we are a mind with a body, my first question would be how can the mind evolve, adapt, and improve as the body grows? If the mind truly is a parasite that has latched onto our body, shouldn't it replicate and not change its fundamental functionalities? But then again, when put in a new body, maybe the mind has to experiment and find out its limitations. For example, if we were to create an AI, if we were to design an AI, it would take time for the AI to understand the limitations and scope of its own functions, mentally as well as physically. Yes, it may be a little difficult to imagine that. This may mean that the body just becomes a host for exploitation of the mind. Okay, so if this is the case, then when exactly does the mind enter the body? When the zygote is formed, or when the baby breathes its first breath, or when it's trying to think its first thought, or when exactly then? Okay, that was about entering the body. What about exiting the body? What happens to the mind after the death of the body? Shouldn't the mind remember motor functions like walking or grabbing or flinching in response to a stimulus? Which, to be fair, a lot of babies do grab onto stuff and they absolutely grip it with all their might without even trying. Other stuff like walking is something that the mind has to learn. So it's not like the mind innately remembers or recalls everything it's understood about the human body in the previous lifetime. This is assuming it switches to another body. So it does seem a little far-fetched to be true, but until when does the mind randomly go through bodies? Are the Hindus right? Is nirvana the only peace? I don't know that, but it just seems a little depressing to think that you're going to be stuck in this endless loop of dharma, artha and karma without knowing whether the good that you do in this life will be good enough for Krishna to grant moksha. Mind in this scenario would then, I think, be synonymous with spirit. Lastly, if we are a mind with a body, how does the mind, being an intangible substance, interact only with our body and no other body or atom or wave or particle? Like fingerprints, does it dial into a frequency of our body to control it? This kind of belief is called subjective idealism. The idea where one believes that the physical reality is just a dimension of the mental being. So this was a little bit about the argument that we are a mind with a body. And if by chance guys you're watching on YouTube and if you're enjoying the video so far, please do like, share and subscribe because we've been working very hard on the videos. So please do comment and even share it with your friends and family and the people that you think that will benefit from such a video. So now without further ado, let's get right into whether we are a body with a mind. Now my first question here would be, if we are a result of evolution, how does a single cell result in consciousness? A body with a mind essentially means that our mind is a result of chemical firing in our brains. What we are experiencing right now, me speaking into the mic and you listening to these words, is because we perceive it to happen through our senses. Basically, the electrical impulses firing off of the different synapses to tell us that we are conscious, that it is conscious. We know that humans can hear only from 20 hertz to 20 kilohertz, right? I tried playing a YouTube audio to see what my personal hearing limit was, and I could start hearing at 200 hertz and I stopped hearing at 16 kilohertz. So it just goes to show, despite it being real, despite the sound being real, we may not be able to perceive reality beyond our limitations. So reality is just maybe a figment of our imagination, one that our conscious brain tells us. So how do you know that what I am speaking right now is real, and how do you know whether you are real? 17th century philosopher René Descartes famously said, "I think, therefore I am." He was a staunch rationalist who in 1619 meditated near a stove to have come up with this experiment as well as this statement. How do I know if I'm real? The fact that I'm thinking about my existence must mean that I am real. This experiment is widely known across philosophers that followed after him. If someone were to slap me right now, my first reaction wouldn't be offering my second cheek, but first my heart would race, my pulse would skyrocket, blood would gush to my cheek, and brain would send chemical firings that would send me either into flight or fight mode. Essentially, in this thought, the brain then becomes the mind, since the mind cannot tell the brain to do such stuff because it's a proven fact that this is an instinct. Believing that mind is a function of a brain is called materialism. Now, guys, I have absolutely no idea about the questions and conclusions that I put forth before you, and honestly, even if I did, I don't think I should force my beliefs onto the listeners of the video, since that would be propaganda. And before even beginning a little bit of a YouTube channel that I have, I don't want to get cancelled. So I have objectively tried to dissect the concepts into trying to comprehend whether we are actually a mind with a body or a body with a mind. I've tried to do so as soon as possible because I know that no one wants to listen to such a long video. So before closing, what do we do from this mind-body connection that we have? How do we use our mind in a way which is complementary to our body and vice versa? From an evolutionary standpoint, when we are put in dangerous situations, we automatically become alert. Try to remember a time when your back was faced towards someone but they were looking at you. You had an inclination that someone is looking at you, and when you turned around, sure enough, like we had eyes at the back of our head, we were able to sense someone's presence. This is exactly what our ancestors used to survive when they came to the savannas and became Homo sapiens. Assuming the branch to be the leopard in the forest was fine, but if it were the other way around, then it would result in them getting eaten. So the anxious trait of those ancestors was actually desirable because that helped sustain their genes and to form families. Now the times have changed and we don't have to fight for our survival. We have to fight that natural instincts that comes with being anxious all the time. That's one way to begin controlling your mind with your body. Even if it doesn't feel right, but objectively you think and you know that it is right, in that situation, something that you would understand with experience, you should then act without thinking and let the chemicals in the body follow. To have at least somewhat control over your body and your mind in today's age is a massive victory. A cool, calm, collected person will go objectively further than who isn't. I'm not asking you to go to the mountains and become a yogi and to have complete control over your mind. But if you're successfully able to perform activities with the conscious comprehension that you're performing them, you're on a path to success. That's it from my end, guys. On my second channel on YouTube, I've been posting a lot of Bollywood and hip-hop lo-fi beats, meditation music, binaural beat, and other kinds of ambient music. I'm gonna leave a link to the same in the description box of this YouTube video. If you have any other topic that you would like me to speak on, please comment down below in the comment box of the YouTube video. Until then, later.